And a very special message to a few of you out there right now. Kaboom. Kaboom for you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to In Conversation, live broadcast, Red TV. I'm Peter Clarke. And hey, welcome, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. Beginning of a brand new year. And we are streaming right now. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We're everywhere as we speak right now. So today I'm pretty pumped. I normally am pretty pumped, as most people know. I'm pretty pumped all the time. But this is kind of interesting because normally I'm just on the other handle of this guy way over here. On the other side of the globe. My good friend from across the pond and into yesterday, or actually into tomorrow. I'm in yesterday. I'd say it sounds really normal. I'm into yesterday. Please, everybody, welcome my good friend, Stephen Sede. How are you, my friend?
Good morning from tomorrow.
Good to see you.
You too, buddy. You too. The last time I saw you was New Year's Eve with a glass of wine and some guitar and a bit of fun, and
there you go.
It was good. Now that was a conversation.
That was a conversation, boy. If a few people who liked us here, hey, thank you, Linda, for joining us. Yes, if people would have sat in on that one, you would have heard some pretty cool words for 2021 there. I'll tell you that. So welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us, because the conversation today is exactly that. We're in conversation with Stephen. And Stephen, if you don't know who Stephen is, I mean, first of all, just go to the LinkedIn, his LinkedIn profile, start doing your research. We've done 25 episodes of another show called The Live Experience with Stephen Sede. You'll see all of those posted online as well. So please feel free to go out and check all that out. So if you're new to Stephen Sede, please do some homework on that. You're going to get a good feel for him right now. So let's just start with the simple stuff. Good holiday, nice little break for yourself so far down there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was quiet, but it was cool. So it was quiet, but it was cool. I mean, yeah. So the weather's not been great down here, but it's been kind of cozy, not the usual searing summer beachy weather, but it's been cool. And I had a cool time, and it was a new you philosophy, but I might talk about that if we get a chance during the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Happy New You to everyone that's watching.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you, Lori, for joining us. We appreciate that. Rashmi, thank you so much. We always appreciate that. Someone's sending us sunshine. I always appreciate sunshine.
Sunshine's good.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'm not sure who that is. Hi, Peter. Thank you so much, Stephen. They're excited to see you, of course. There's Kat, of course. It's midnight over there. I don't know what she's doing up, but God love her. I appreciate that. So her word for 2021, we'll get to that. Trust oneself. That's actually a couple, 2 or 3 words there, but we're going to go with trust. We're going to go with trust on that one. Absolutely. So it's all good. I appreciate. And Melody, thank you so much from Massachusetts. We love that. That super cool accent from the Boston area, the Massachusetts area. I love that. Gotta love that. So Stephen, today what I wanted to do, I mean, over the holidays, I tried to take a break as well, a little bit, tried to just kind of refocus. Everyone's talking about that, refocus, reevaluate, all of these things that you do at year end. And, and then of course you go into the traditional idea of the new year and the calendar year, and everything changes. And then you have this idea of resolutions and all these kinds of things, but people are throwing around lots of words. I know in my conversations with just friends and family and things like that, of course, everyone's saying next year is going to be about this, and everyone would seem to have a word. And I'd be like, okay, that's kind of a cool concept. And so I just started digging into that, and I thought, you know what? Let's have that conversation. Let's start off the new year where people can get a feel about literally what you do and what you're all about by giving us insights off the top of your head, literally. But some of these concepts that I want to throw out there, there's no rhyme or reason to some of the words that I went out and found. They resonated with me in a certain way. They also resonated with me only because they're not as common as some other words that people might be thinking about for the new year. So I just grabbed some, so that's what we're going to be doing. So, I mean, I hope everyone who's joining us will get something from this, because Stephen has a way of responding to things that will make you go, never thought of that. So, and even if you have thought about it, it will reignite some new ideas for you as well. So, I got the sunshine here. I should have known who the sunshine person was. This is from Suzanne Heaton. Not sure why her name won't come up. That's right. You know what it is, Suzanne? I think you have to go into StreamYard and allow them to see the logo. I'm not sure. That's a great question, though. I got to find that out as well. But Suzanne Heaton's like a rock star, and over in my part of the world, just so you know, Stephen, she is awesome. She's an author, and she does Motivated by Nature, which is basically talking about emphasizing the idea of the power of nature and being in nature when it comes to, health and wellness, and also not just health and wellness, but also with growing your business, growing your personal life, your business life. Because I resonate with that, because, when I'm not feeling well, which, in the last 12 months, we could all find those days. I go for a walk down by the river, and going outside.
Water.
Right. Water, right? I know you're near water there in Sydney, right? Yeah. So I know that you post some stuff all the time. Do you find that for yourself as well when you go out strolling around, down around beaches?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Susan, to start with. But the thing for me with nature is all it wants to do is grow. It's all it wants to do. It just wants to replenish and refresh and grow. That's all it wants to do. So in the context of water, to your question, I just find my brain goes ballistic in terms of creativity when I'm near water. There's occasions where I don't take anything with me. And I've famously, on a number of occasions, used to walk down the beach in Western Australia, and I'd actually draw things in this. I wouldn't take my phone because I'd get too busy on the phone. I ended up drawing things on the beach and then coming back and photographing it and turning it into content. So yeah, I find water unbelievably creative and empowering.
I do too. I grew up in Eastern Canada, again, close to the ocean. And what I found about the ocean, the word that always was the very first word that came to mind when I'm near the ocean, Stephen, has always been humble. Man, when you're standing by an ocean, there's something humbling about it. You look at that and go, wow, you can come and take me anytime you want. Like if you got close enough to that cold ocean and the waves come in, I mean, it's so powerful. And so I love that about being near the water. It's creative. It makes you feel good. And like you said, you get so many ideas when you're around it and all that kind of stuff.
It's the epitome of refocus and regeneration, because that's what nature is.
There you go. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Okay, words for 2021, everybody. Words for 2021. This is cool because I'm telling you, I've seen so much on LinkedIn as well. The people that I follow and the posts that people are putting up, and it's fun to watch because we're all on different journeys. Everyone's on a different journey, and we don't know what crosses people are carrying. Everyone's got their own baggage, and so we don't know the story. We don't know the journey. So the words are always interesting, and they're always in context. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But what I did, Stephen, has gone out and just grabbed some words. I found a list. There's a number of lists out there where there's 25 words, 50 words, 100 words. So I went out and I started just grabbing some. I'm just going to end. So just so everyone knows, I mean,
can I ask a question?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
So you're just going to throw up words to me?
Yes.
Do you want me to use the whiteboard? Do you just want me to verbally respond? What do you want me to do?
Okay, so see, everybody,
just so I know.
I'm not prepared for this because I told him, I said, don't worry about it. I don't want you to go thinking about what I'm going to do, because then you'll think about it, and I don't want you to think. I want people to see how you operate, and I love it. And by the way, I hope this is not a career-ending move.
No, my only preparation for this has been, how do you actually roll under a bus that drives over the top of you? So seriously, do you want me to talk to the words? Do you want me to write stuff down? What do you want me to do?
I want you to talk to the words really, and
All
if we decide it starts going in a direction where you feel you want to expand a little bit, but I have so many words here, and
you want to keep it short and sharp. Okay.
Yeah, and people are actually sending us in words as well, and what I'm going to try to do is make sure that I try to get to some of them as well. So I want to make sure I get to some of them as well.
Okay, so everyone's becoming a bus driver.
Everyone's a bus driver. Everyone's ready to go.
All right, let's do it. I have no idea what we're doing, but let's do it.
So let's just do it. Words for 2021. So I saw this one, and I some of it's alphabetical. You'll see, but let's start with this one. Become. Become, and I've heard a few people use this word. I want to become this or that or whatever. But the word of become. What pops in your mind immediately when we start talking about that as a word to focus ourselves for 2021?
Kind of the only thing that apart from preparing for bus drivers, the only thing that sort of resonates with me is that your word for the year is the foundation of the house called your life. So when you talk about become, or whatever the words you're going to throw at me, to me they're foundational words, and too many people think my word is to become. Become what? Become what you want to become, and become what you don't want to become. Because to say I'm going to become, some people became a certain set of behavior in Washington, D.C. yesterday that I think a lot of us don't want to become. And I won't go into any more details on that. So the first thing that resonates, if you're wanting to become, then be grounded in your conviction to that word, but then start defining becoming what and becoming not.
Oh, okay. All right. See, this is what I'm saying. You know what I'm doing, everybody? Listen. The idea of producing, I was just going to say, put your marker down. He got his water. What I was going to say, like, we could build a workshop or a masterclass off any of these words, which I love this. Let's keep going because there's so many great words here. But I appreciate that. Like you said, I mean, what do you want to become? I know what you just said, what I don't want to become, what I do want to become, and the balance between that. I love that. I love that.
I want to become this behavior. I don't want to become this behavior. Don't just rely on the word to define your year, because at the end of the year, you'll realize you didn't become anything.
Ooh.
And everyone, if you see me dancing around, I've got a big screen right behind the camera, so I keep forgetting to look at the thing. So if I look distracted, it's because I'm looking at a huge screen, just so everyone knows. Next
word for 20, devotion. Devotion.
It's a nice string to go from become to devotion, because how devoted are you and what's your sense of commitment? So again, I'm going to have the foundational word of my year to be devoted, devotion. And devotion's a really cool thing. And Peter talks about what's in your mind, your wallet, your feet, your mouth, all those types of things. Think of it in this context. What is the devotion to your intellectual mind? What is the devotion to your emotional quota of your heart and soul? And link those together. Because everyone doesn't care how much you know. Everyone wants to know how devoted you are to what you care for. And if your devotion is to the care and welfare of others, and you use your mind intellectually to support it, watch what happens on the joy of 2022, January 1, when you celebrate all of the days of devotion of your care for someone else.
Oh, thank you, sir. I love this. This word right here. Boy, I'm going to tell you the next word right now. I'm working at it. I'm working at it, and I love this word. It comes and goes in my life. Sometimes I really feel I got a grasp on it. Sometimes I don't. But I love this word, and I want this in my life. Grace. What comes to mind for you when we talk about using grace as a word for 2021?
One of the significant themes through the live show that we did together last year, Peter, was, and one that really resonated with people, when I said, episode 15 or whatever it was, forgiveness is a commitment. It's not a feeling.
Right.
Grace is a commitment. It's not a feeling. It's not a prayer. Grace to yourself, to others, grace in the nature of how you conduct every breath that you take is a commitment to the devotion of what you're wanting to become. So stop thinking that I'll have grace because I might worship, no disrespect. I'll have grace because I'm going to pray in the context of worship. I'll have grace in the way that I graciously conduct myself. Grace is a commitment. It's not a feeling. It's not a behavior. It's a commitment to something that you are devoted to on your journey of becoming what you want.
Wow. You've just made me go, wow, because I I never, to be frank with you, I never thought of it like that. I never thought of grace like that. I thought of grace as something that, and this is not one of my words, but I love this word that I'm going to use right now, forgiveness. I thought it was about this idea of your giving grace. Are you giving grace to people, or is it grace is something? Is it something that I experience, or am I giving it to somebody? I'm confused with that for me. I'm just trying to figure that out for myself.
No, that's fine. But it's every single one of these words in the context of sort of verb type words, behavior type words. If you don't have the ability to have grace for yourself, you can't give it to anybody else. You can't be loving if you don't love yourself. You can't offer time if you don't have time for yourself, etc., etc., etc. So in the context of what you said, Peter, about giving it, and if you think of nature, and Suzanne, if I've got that name recollection correct, nature is about giving to itself to then be able to seed and flourish. We human beings think that we can deny the nutrition to ourselves, but then be really good with other people. And it's called landing pages and give me your 3 details, and I'll give you the details on how to get this swimming pool. And to your point, Peter, if you want to give grace, then you need to learn how to forgive and have grace and graciousness to yourself.
Oh, love that.
And if you think of every single person, everyone listening and watching, every single person, when you say the word, Peter says the word grace, you think of someone in your life that has grace and graciousness, I guarantee they're kind to themselves.
Yeah, that inner talk and being kind to yourself. Oh gosh, that's a story on its own right there.
Yep.
Thank you for that. That's fantastic. And again, everybody, what we're doing today, if you're just joining us right now, words for 2021. These are some words that I picked out. People have sent us some as well. I'm throwing them at Stephen literally randomly, and he doesn't know what they are. So I just want to make sure, because I don't want everyone to think, well, no matter what your answer is, Stephen, it's always super, super insightful. But I can't even imagine what you would do with them if I gave you some heads up on it. So I just wanted to make sure I prefaced that.
Yeah, and let me say this, everyone. When I hear words for 2021, and any of the people that I coach and mentor, any inside soul shifters, any inside the Sede Institute, when I hear words for 2021, all I hear is what is your behavior to make that word true.
Oh, right.
Otherwise, you're just reciting a cool word out of the dictionary off a list somewhere. Words for 2021 mean nothing if you're not prepared to create behavior to them.
Oh, boom, everyone. Write that one down. Quote that if you want. That's fantastic. I know. This is cool to see you. I love it.
The pens. I'll touch
this is awesome.
When you say I'm allowed to.
All right. Next word. Intentional. Intentional. And I love that word, intention. I'm a big fan of Dr. Wayne Dyer, and that's where I kind of learned that from his book called The Power of Intention. But I love the idea of being intentional, and I've heard that a few times. So what do you think of that word, intentional?
It goes to what are you focused on? It goes to what are you wanting to become? It goes to what you're devoted to. It goes to all of those words, because if you're going to be intentional, there was people who were intentional in terms of what happened in America yesterday. There were people who were intentional in terms of marches and Me Too movements and those types of things. There was intention on Christmas morning for the grace and welfare and the goodness that people shared, even in the constraints that we're under right now. Intentional is a foundational word that you need to apply to every area of your life. The intention of your profession, the intention of personal life, the intention of your love. What is it? Because if you're going, I'm going to be intentional this year, what does that mean? There's nothing wrong. Intentional is a great foundational word to anchor into the commitment. Listen, everyone, to the commitment of what you're going to do in your personal life, to the commitment to what you're going to do in your love life, to the commitment to what you're going to do in your charitable work, in your philanthropic work. Your intentional foundation is only manifested when you allocate it into the individual areas of your life with clarity and definition that allows you to assess it, survey it, refine it, and replace it if need be.
Just let that sink in for a second. Just stay there. Just let it sink in. Thank you. I appreciate that.
More water.
That is fantastic. Hey, let me just throw up a couple quick reminders here from Melody. Yeah, the beach is a wonderful grounding place for her and ourselves as well. And this is from Suzanne. Nature is the best teacher out there. And yes, it's loads of research on how to boost creativity as well. And she calls herself a nature nerd. She's far from a nerd, let me tell you. She likes whiskey. So that's what she's.
Oh, okay. Hence the depth of your friendship. Yes. Okay.
Our friendship started there.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually started at a really cool. I'll tell you that story off air one day, and so on. So, and of course, she Rashmi said you're going to rock this by throwing you. And here's a great point. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. That's so true. You can't give what you don't have. So, I mean, that's a really. And Ash, hey, happy New Year, Ash. Appreciate you.
Oh wow, hey buddy.
Tuning in, we appreciate that so much. All right, my friend, let's keep going because intentional. I love that. I mean, intention is such a powerful word. How about this one? Listen. And I'm just throwing it out there. The reason why this one is so powerful for me is because I spend a lot of time obviously communicating, which means that I'm speaking. But I love this idea that obviously when you're speaking, you're not learning, and when you're listening, you're more. So for me, to listen more, to really hear what's being said. What does listen mean to you for 2021?
It used to be on the wall over there. I penned it up and it's down amongst my notes now. But this we can do this one quickly because we could go off on all kinds of different things. Here's my seminar in a sentence on listening. Make a decision to listen so deeply to someone that you can feel what they're saying.
Say that again.
Listen so deeply to someone. Because most people are listening, waiting to speak. God, I've been guilty of that. Some people are listening to form an opinion of what you're saying, intellectualizing, I need to have a point of view, and there's almost that tit for tat type thing, good and bad. If forgiveness is a commitment, not a feeling, listening is to listen to the depths of what someone's feeling in the emotion that's driving them to speak. Listen so you can feel someone, not just hear them, because most of what people say is a 10% reflection of the 90% of what they're trying to say, but what they're feeling, that they don't know how to say it. Most human beings are restricted by the not just their vocabulary, but their oratory and their confidence to speak. So many people, guess what? They go to a funeral, or they go to a 21st, or they go to an 80th birthday of a grandmother, and all of a sudden this person who's not a great speaker just seems to flow. You know why? Because they're speaking from the emotion of their intention. So if you want to listen in a business meeting, if you want to listen in a relationship meeting, if you just want to listen, as I need to get better at with Peter, listen so you can feel what they're saying, not just the words. Because 10% of people's words are betraying the 90% of what they're trying to emotionally speak. It's when you put someone into an emotional situation like a funeral, all of a sudden they may not be the best orator, but my goodness, do you feel what they're trying to say?
I totally relate to that. I know what you mean by that.
Listen, so one sentence, listen to feel, and to do it, you've got to stop and be conscious of trying to hear through what they're saying, what they're looking like, their eyes, all of that stuff that I do a lot of training on. Listen to feel, everyone. And in 2021, everyone's going to be heard, not by what they say, but by you understanding how they feel.
Love that. Thank you, Melody, for saying it for me. Boom, right there. And here's another one. Same words that spell listen, spell silent. I like that. I think I like that a lot. Wow. I like that. I saw that before, but I totally forgot. And I appreciate you putting that up.
That's Susan. Man. Well, the interesting thing on that, Susan, it's great. I love that. I hadn't thought of that, and I hadn't heard that before. But when you're in that beautifully romantic moment, for example, that we've all experienced, it's the silence of the gaze into each other's eyes that speaks more than just the words "I love you."
So very true. Wow,
it's the silence of listening, which is no coincidence in terms of what's just been said.
Yeah, and it's, when you just talked about the quietness in between, and I'll move from this because I can get caught here too. But for music's like that. Music to me, it's people think it's the notes. For me, it's the silence between the notes. It's the space between the notes.
Yeah, you did that on New Year's Eve when you were playing the guitar. You were showing me some chords and you were stopping, and you said that half second in between, and it was true, which was good.
Right, you can feel that. Yeah, no, I appreciate you remembering that.
Listen to feel, everyone. Listen to feel.
Another beautiful word. And you hear people about that being mindful of things, want to be more mindful. What does that say to you?
It goes back to what we've just said. Two things come to mind in terms of not so much the yin and the yang, but dividing this into two, playing on what Susan just said in terms of the words. One thing that you need to do for this year is to fill your mind with knowledge, wrap it with your experience and perspective, and place that into step-by-step approaches that will help and serve other people. Because when you fill your mind with knowledge, wrap it around your heart and soul, experiences and perspectives in step-by-step approaches, people will see you as an authority and an expert, and in time call you wise. The other thing is you need to be mindful of what you're focusing on, what your devotion is focused on. You need to be mindful that when I'm listening, I'm going to listen to the feeling. So fill your mind, especially in 2021, because the game's new. And secondly, be mindful of what your commitment, what your focus, what your devotion of what you're trying to become. Be very mindful of what you're trying to become. And the best way of doing it is fill your mind with knowledge, wrapped with your experience and perspective, and go share that with the world in step-by-step processes of how much you care whilst you listen to their feelings.
Oh, love that. Love it. Fantastic. Now, this word looks really similar to what we've been talking about, but it's different than nature. Okay, so the next word, nurture. Nurture. I saw that word, and I again, in context of some things I've been reading and so on, I just it struck me at an emotional level. So I'm just wondering for you, nurture.
I think the emotion comes from the whole concept. The first thing that comes when you say nurturing, it's that whole thing of that motherly intuition that we've all experienced. As I always say, no human being on the planet ever existed without coming through a woman to be here. Mm-hmm. So the whole concept of nurturing, if we go down that path, and there's many we could go down, one concept of nurturing is the unbelievable sense of care that feminine energy has for the protection and the welfare of our species. So in 2021, as we all journey into now knowing what COVID is, knowing what all of this new way of living is, having to, for some countries to traverse to get to the point maybe where Australia and New Zealand are, and God willing, we can stay here. We need to be becoming very nurturing to how we care for what's important to us. We also need to be very nurturing to how much forgiveness we give ourselves, because all of a sudden having to be in lockdown is hard. It's taking away the human instinct of wanting to cluster. It's taking away our ability to hug and care for each other, which is what the irony is, in 25 years, COVID will have reminded us what we were rapidly forgetting through the 2000s. So nurturing is linked back to that feminine energy of care for others by caring for yourself, caring and nurturing and being very gracious and graceful in the context of what's important to you. Start learning how to listen to feel someone, and then learning how to forgive them, because they may not always agree with you, especially when, guess what, everyone, they're just as scared and confused as you are. Because how many of us have got a degree in a pandemic that live on the planet right now? Nurture by being caring of yourself, and nurture by being able to forgive yourself, and then being able to help and understand the forgiveness of others. The great brands, the great businesses, the great relationships, personally, professionally, romantic, spiritually, in 2021 will be through the grace of nurturing the forgiveness of someone else who's just as scared as you.
Oh, okay. I always pause if everyone thinks it's a timing thing. It's not. I pause because that's such a great soundbite. I wanted to sit and resonate there with people, because I'm sitting there and let it resonate with me as well. So I super appreciate that. Melody, yes, of course, I agree with you 100%. Read between the lines, and that's what we talked about, that space between thoughts and ideas. And yeah, we need to nourish to flourish. So that's a great concept as well. How about this one here? This one is going to be interesting because it's I don't think there's emotion attached to this, but I shouldn't be actually saying anything. I should just let you see.
No, it's good. No, it helps me to give some perspective, Pete. Because
yeah, I mean, because we all see these words differently. But permission.
So you don't see emotion in that?
I don't personally, but yeah, and I guess if I could put some thought into it, but for me, I'm thinking about the permission of just allowing myself to do what I need to do and what I want to do. and to be kind to myself. So give permission to be vulnerable, permission, all those kinds of. So that's what it means to me. And I've heard people use it in that context so far this year. So just curious again, your take
on this side of the discussion, we could talk about permission in a very intellectual way. On this side of the discussion, we could talk about the permission of being in a relationship and is it exclusive or not, because that's an agreement. Permission is the commitment to an agreement. Permission in life coaching terms is boundary conditions. It's setting a boundary and giving yourself permission to be in or out of that. Permission to me is if you're going to use the words for 2021, my instruction to you is work out what your walls, your roof, your window panes of your home look like based on the permission you've given yourself to commit to devotion, to grace, to whatever those words are. So on one level, people talk about permissions in terms of governance. On another level, it's permission to me, and this is how I would teach and coach in it. Permission is the definition of boundaries that enable you to be you.
Say that again about the boundaries.
Permission to me is setting boundaries. I won't use your relationship, Peter, but in a marriage, for example, part of the permissions are in some marriages that it's not exclusive, but in most marriages it is exclusive. Right. There's a certain boundary of conduct that the way we men should treat women. There's a boundary of conduct in terms of the whole Black Lives Matter movement. There are boundaries in life that we either emotionally and intellectually give ourselves permission to govern from.
Oh, yeah.
Permissions to me is just a sense of governance to what you agree that's true or not true. Does anyone give anyone permission to run into the head of the US government's buildings in the way they did yesterday? And the world's reacted because it's outside the conditions of suitable behavior, regardless of what your political aspirations is. Yeah, there's a certain code of conduct.
That's correct.
So there's a certain code of conduct, governance, that we give ourselves a boundary that we will and won't enter, and then we use permissions to define our acceptance of the two. Most people see permissions as one as the other. I see permissions as the balance of the seesaw of life.
Oh, boom. Love that. That is... Love that. It just makes sense. That just makes sense to me. I love that. Just what he says. Yeah, I know, Melody. I'm just like, that's why I record everything. So I can go back and kind of catch up and see what
Melody, when there's a bus running at you at this speed, you're trying to do your best to protect yourself.
There you go. Next word. Release.
Oh,
release. I'm not going to say anything about that. I want you to kind of just let that sink in. And
if you're, and in the context, because we could go into definitions of words, but I'm trying to do this in the context of the theme of the show. My word for 2021 is release. Brilliant.
Right.
Release from what? Because you're going to release yourself as a prisoner to go back into the world. You're going to release yourself from a relationship and actually go back into life. You're going to release yourself into a commitment of forgiveness. So when someone says, my word for the year is release, beautiful, bless you, wonderful. Release to or release from? Right. What are you releasing yourself to and what are you releasing yourself from? Because at the end of 2021, if you've said, well, I had my word for the year was release, good word, sounds great. Some people yesterday got released into a behavior that's unacceptable. Some people will spend the rest of this year releasing themselves into forgiveness and their ability to have grace and devotion to become what they've never been before. This person right here is about to do it. Release yourself into everything you've ever wanted, because everything you've ever needed to get it is all that you've ever been.
Oh, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. How about this one? Which is probably counterintuitive for some people right now, because it's interesting because the world is feeling that for some people, not everybody, but for some people, it feels obviously it's slowed down tremendously, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life. And most of the time they're just intertwined so much for the last 12 months. But moving forward into the new year, the idea of slow, what does that kind of jump out to you as?
This is a yin and the yang one for me. So the positive, whichever yin and yang is on that stuff, but the positive and negative on that. To me, the concept of slow is great and Trevor, if you're watching in Western Australia, Trevor will be proud of me for saying this. And Peter knows this, and people who know me, Graham and everything. One of the things that I need to do is to slow down and give myself permission to accept the responsibility of what I am. To accept the responsibility that I can literally do whatever I'm doing right now, and I don't even know how I'm doing it. So for everyone, slow down to accept the responsibility of the giftedness that you are. Also, slow down enough to be able to start taking what you want. Slow down from the obsession of thinking you have to post every day, or that you have to comment on everything and you have to watch everything. Slow down to focus on what you want to make true for 2021 in you. So if your foundational word under the house of your life for 2021 is slow, great. Slow for what purpose? And then take slow as the foundational permission you're giving yourself to be focused on the things, beginning with the acceptance of what you are. Most people need to accept what they are, because when COVID told us to stay at home, everyone goes, but I can't go out and do all of the routines and habits that distract me from looking in the mirror and loving what I see. Slow down long enough to understand you are what you need to be what you want.
Oh, stay right there. Stay right there. That's cool. I love that. That's, you know, and I'm loving that, because I'm really, for me, and I'm hoping some other people might hear this, is that slow to me is, when I think of the word slow, in the context of what we're talking about here today, just words that define for the year, what kind of strategy, if you will, whatever you want to put it into. Goal setting, your vision for yourself, whatever that is. Slow to also means a sense of reflection. It means just slow down. Stop always thinking about things all the time, Peter. I'm talking to me now. Stop. You're always thinking. Slow down. Just stay present and slow down. And I love what you just said about that. Just being able to reflect and look in the mirror and just slow down so that you can catch up to.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys that mentors me over in Perth, you people here on my live show frequently, you know who it is, Pete. Trevor, for example, comes from a totally different world to me, but we just clicked as friends. He's a Sede guest, but he's also kind of become a really close friend and in many ways a mentor. Only yesterday, this is inspired by Trevor and a gift to everyone. Trevor said, Steve, I'm so excited about what you've got planned, because he knows all the things that we're up to. But he said, my biggest worry is for you and your emotional fatigue right now. He said the relentlessness of what you do. So taking me as a case study, but now talking with you, how much emotional fatigue is in your life right now? Because across the world, because of COVID and the circumstances and things that have changed, you need to slow down to give yourself the emotional refreshment. To go to Susan's point, only yesterday, Trevor told me that, Steve, I'm worried about your emotional fatigue.
Wow, powerful.
Slow down enough, everyone, to replenish the emotions of what you dream and hope for, because your dreams are fueled by your emotional ability to believe that they're true. And if you're too tired to believe at the depth that you dream, you're going to have a really hard 2021.
Wow, magic. I love that, magic. Great to see Andrea here. So excited to see you.
Hey, gorgeous.
Appreciate that. Listen, and by the way, anybody listening to the broadcast right now, if you can't get the recording of it, if you want a detailed note version, handwritten, that fine lady right there takes the best notes in the world. Right there. Yes. Right there. Word for word. I mean, word for word. She's brilliant. I love it. I love it. And so slow down in order to notice that you're making a difference. That's a very powerful thing.
Yes. And if any of you saw Andrea's video, I'm not sure if it was on New Year's or just after New Year's Day, she was sitting in a car and the speed of her reflective delivery was just amazing. That was the epitome of slow. It was just sitting and reflecting and just being really present to how she was feeling. And by the way, there was no notes.
Yeah, that's right. I noticed that.
But that's the epitome of slow. Just the way that Andrea was reflecting. And here's the thing, everyone, the foundation of that video was slow. But the commitment was in terms of Andrea's gratitude for people in her life, the gratitude of allowing people to get her to reflect on who she is and the things that she now believes she can do, and reignited the fact that all she's ever wanted and everything she's ever needed to get it is all she's ever been. If you want to know what slow is live in a tutorial, go to Andrea's profile, go down to activities. There's a video of her sitting in the car, and that is the epitome of slow to express gratitude, to express appreciation, and to express I got this. Because Andrea, beautiful, you do.
Wow, fantastic. Well said. Stop and smell the roses, Melody, absolutely digest. And there's a big thank you there from Andrea right there in real time. Slow down, right, Laurie, slow down to reflect and appreciate. Appreciate is everything, man. Gratitude is everything for me. That's again, I have so many great words that I love, but I know that I've used them with you before, Stephen. So I'm trying to find ones that we haven't talked about before. Here we go. Let's go to the next one here. I love this one. What was the last one? Slow. Sorry, last one was slow. How about this one? Whole. Whole. And there's so many magical stuff that for me, I'm just filling up my own space here, while I'm listening to it and thinking about it. But
the reason I'm pausing, because you go in a million different directions for this, but what I'm trying to do is just really get reflective, because you could run off on all different types of riffs that everyone knows I can do on definitions of words and 3-step models and stuff. If your foundational word for 2021, which is what this is all about, is to be whole, my plea to you, from my sincere heart to yours, what are you going to be whole in? And define what your walls are, define what your window panes are, define what your rooftop is. The rooftop about your values and character, for example, and we did this on one of the shows. If your whole aspect is I just want to be whole of what? And you need to get really focused that I'm going to put a holistic approach into my personal life, a holistic approach into my professional life, a holistic approach into my health and well-being. Trevor will love that one. Whole is just a statement of, but on its own, it doesn't mean anything. So if the foundation of your 2021 is the word whole, my immediate, how do you take whole into a behavior? How do you take whole into a commitment? You can only be whole when you've made a behavioral commitment to my personal life, my professional life, to gratitude, going back to Andrea's point. Whole is just a really cool word, but unless you define the parameters and the boundaries, you can't give yourself the permission to be whole. You can just express it because it sounds good at a networking event.
Yeah, and that's why I love this word. I understand how sometimes people use it in different contexts. I know how sometimes I use it about it. I think it's coming up a lot more now because people feel fraction. They feel, they feel broken. They feel, all of these sort of metaphors, if you will. I'm broken. I don't feel whole anymore. I feel disconnected. I feel all of those things. So the idea of using this new year, especially coming out of what we just and still in it, by the way, we're still in it, but I think 2020 is being defined as this incredibly difficult year. 2021 is so far an extension of it, but the idea of taking your broken self and trying to bring it back to being whole, I love what you just said, which is unless there's action behind that, what's going to happen? Nothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, to go to that point, pardon me, everyone. One of the things that comes to mind is a little baby goes, and I don't have kids, but a little baby goes from crawling to all of a sudden getting up and walking. That's mean that they're running around. Does the baby's attitude go, oh my goodness, 2 weeks ago I couldn't walk, I'm not whole anymore, how do I put myself together? It's just an evolution. Everything that's happened in 2020, and there's a million different ways you can cut and paste this, you were not broken, everyone. There's just a new journey that we're all on. And in some ways, and I said this in the Sede Institute Cafe last Saturday, Friday, Saturday, depending on when in the world where you are, 50 years from now, we will look back at this as a correction as to the human race got so smart, we thought it was more important to drill an asteroid. Don't do a fire alarm like now, guys. We thought it was more important to drill a hole on an asteroid than it was to appreciate the fact that we can stand next to someone in a supermarket. You are not broken, everyone. You just need to redefine that one day I was crawling, now I'm walking. What am I going to do with my new ability? So in the world where we're interconnected like never before, could you imagine a pandemic coming when we didn't have Zoom and StreamYard and we didn't have the internet? How isolated would we have been if this happened in the late 50s and 60s? So you are not broken. You're more connected and you're more engaged with people than ever before. And I don't care there's a fire alarm about to start. I care about your ability to believe that you're whole in the areas of your life you decide to behave in.
Fantastic. Listen, Stephen, by the way, and no joke, I mean, obviously you're in a particular building now. Are they calling a fire alarm for you? Because if they are, I mean, this is the fun part of live, everybody. We are live, so that's for real.
I think it's the security guard throwing me a word. No, it's a test on emergency. Keep going.
They're doing a test?
Wait.
Just make sure you check it.
He said the word test. It's a test. He said the word test, everyone. So in the context of whole, think of 2021 as a holistic test on your ability to believe that you have the friends, you have the professional circles, and you have the global reach available to you, that no matter what test is being put in front of you right now, you have a holistic approach to how you can have the permission to get other people to help you, alarms or not.
Fantastic. Hey, I'll just put it on mute. It's okay. You stay with me.
We'll go to some comments or whatever you want to do. You're the producer.
Hey, listen. This is called live stuff, everybody. I'll put you on mute for a second here. So this is real, as you can see. So Steven's just in the middle of that. But again, I love the idea that people are feeling, using the word whole to try to address this sense of this feeling that we're all having. And I know I can relate to that. I mean, that's why I use this word. I thought it was really important for everyone to kind of hear it maybe from your perspective. Hold that thought there, Steve. I just want to I'll throw up another one here. Is the alarm good? If it's good, anchor your whole with your journey to bring that wholesome experience from Rashmi. So yeah, you're trying to anchor this concept of all your brokenness and bring it into something else there. So
yeah, but it's done now, Pete. So you can come back.
Good. Okay. Good.
Am I back on
Yes,
again?
You are.
Yep,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
back on again. It's done now. Thank you for that. He said the word test, so we riffed on that one. Everyone, one of the things I would actually ask you, because there's a growing trend on this online right now, is for everyone to talk about the concept of whole. Not everyone, but a lot. There seems to be a trend out there at the moment that the concept of I'm not the same as I was pre-2020, so I'm not whole, and so immediately there's an assumption that I'm broken. To Susan's point in nature, and when I used to live in England and the seasons were a lot more defined than they are down here in Australia, during springtime and summer, the trees and the foliage in England is amazing, as it is in many parts of the world, and Canada as an example. A tree doesn't sit there and think it's broken in the middle of winter when it's bare.
That's true.
And AB in India said sometimes there's a season in life called patience.
Oh, I like that.
Remember, I'm not sure I think that was on the last show, the wrap-up show that we did. So without doing the whole list, I'm really concerned that there's too many people think that I'm not whole anymore, I'm broken. A tree is not broken when it's bare. It's just in the process of getting ready to flourish again.
Love that. Stay there. Let's leave it there. Any one of these could be master classes with you. Hey, I love this one. I knew you couldn't find one with this, starting with this letter, but I did. I went and found it.
God.
This is where you're from, everybody. Z. Hey, listen, it's all in where you live. But starting with the letter Z or Z, zest. Now, I know what comes to mind for me for zest, and I'll play with you later on that. But zest, I'll tell you in a second. But what is that word would mean for somebody? I guess for 2021. What's your first impressions of that idea?
It goes back to the same thing as whole. My word for the year is zest. Okay, I know what the word means. Zest in what? Zest for what? What are you going? If that's the foundational word for you for the year, because the concern I have with too many people's words is resolutions have got a famous habit now, and they're almost a cliche that by the 6th of January they're gone. I know I have the word for the year. Good. If your word is zest in what? Here's the thing. You are going to have zest as the foundational word of 2021. Zest in what? So on December 31st, 2021, if we did a show asking people, what did you do with your zestful year? How would you answer it? And maybe that's applicable to all of these words. If on the 31st of December, 2021, I asked you, with your word of zest through the last 365 days, what did you get from it? If you can't answer that question, you won't have a commitment and permission, devotion, grace, forgiveness, and to take action about what you're going to do every single day to be able to answer that question. I'm going to be whole. I'm going to have zest. Good. On the 31st of December this year, I'm going to ask you what whole and zest got you. And if you can't answer it, it's because you never defined where it's going to be zest, where I'm going to be zestful in my life. So you won't be able to answer what the output of your zest was. And all of a sudden, it's a great word. I'm going to be at my best and zest. I'm going to be zesty best in 2021. What does that mean? I have no idea, but do you like my jacket?
I love it.
I could go into the definition of the word zest, but if you can't answer, and this is applicable to all of your words, on the 31st of December, you need to ask yourself the question right now. Whatever my word is, and in this instance, zest has triggered this thought. If Steve or Peter asked me, or I looked in the mirror and asked myself, with my foundational word of zest in 2021, what are the 5 things that I did that made a difference in my life and someone else's? Because those 5 things are what you should apply your zest to.
Right on. Wow. Love that. Love that. I'm pausing just because I'm listening. I'm thinking. I want everyone to kind of know what we're doing here. You know, we're just playing with the concept of words for 2021 because online right now, as people kind of re-engage with being back online and maybe back after the holidays and so on, goal setting, driving new opportunities and so on. Maybe you're sharing your ideas for what you want to do. Yep. And certain people are picking certain words and so on. And speaking of that, by the way, Stephen, I did a little bit of homework before we jumped on air, just to pull out a couple names and some of their words. So if you have a one-liner for them, great. If you don't, it's okay. Yep. By the way, it could easily turn into a masterclass. And I just want you to see what some people are thinking. Yep. I love this one from, speaking of Suzanne Heaton, calm. Calm is hers.
We'll do this rapid fire then. Okay. Yeah. First thing that comes to mind, to be calm is to be present. Be present. So the tree in the middle of winter with no leaves on it doesn't think it's broken and not whole. It's waiting to flourish.
Beautiful. Love that.
And it stays calm.
Ode Wilkins, a friend of mine in Chicago. Her word is focus. Focus.
Focus is a great foundational word. What is the walls of your how do you pronounce the name? Ode? Is that correct?
Ode. I say ode.
Ode. Hello, Ode. Pleasure to meet you in Chicago. If your foundational word of the house of your life is focus, what are the walls going to be focused on? What is the roof going to be focused on? What is that little trinket that's sitting over there on the dining table I've got? What is your focus on that? The biggest thing, Ode, is at the end, on the 31st of December, what are the 5 things you're going to focus on that you could go, Steve, Pete, this was an amazing year because I focused on bang, 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 and bang. Those 5 things will make your focus real. Otherwise, it'll be a statement of intent.
Wow, fantastic. And just some background on this, by the way, she's starting a new job next week. So that's a big focus for her. She's starting a brand new job. Any one-liners for her on that? And it's a passion job for her, so she's pretty pumped.
Okay. The 5 things for me, just off the top of my head. God, I can't. And by the way, if you want to know what the 5 things are in my head right now, I've got absolutely no idea, but let's go. Number 1, why are you passionate about what you're passionate about? Number 2, who are some of the key people and the key foundational people you can form some good relationships with? Speak up and don't hesitate, and do it with a sense of passion. Don't hesitate to act. Actually step forward with the premise of, hey guys, help me out here. I'm new, but I think this might work. And number 5, review the first 4 and do it again.
Love it. I love it. Eric, and I'm going to say this. I'm thinking Didier. And if I said that wrong, I'm sorry.
Didier, I think. Didier?
Yeah. And he's, I think he's basically a filmmaker. He's in the creative arts, if you will, when it comes to audio, video, these kinds of things. Growth is his. Growth.
I'm a little influenced by what Peter just said in terms of what you do, Eric. So growth, again, similar to what we've just said, growth will only manifest when you've actually established what you're wanting to grow in. So if it is film and production, there's a lot of people out there right now who want to get online and express themselves. How do they do that? And you might think, well, Steve, that's not my nature of my film business. That's good. There's a lot of people in the film industry that are a lot higher. They're thinking of, I saw something that Mercedes were doing a commercial where the director was 7,500 kilometers away directing a multi-million-dollar ad over Zoom. So growth. So Eric, the thing that comes to mind is define the 3 to 5 areas you want to focus growth on and make those the strategic platforms of the future of your business for the next 365 days. So at the end of 365, if I sat and had a cup of coffee, glass of wine, whiskey with you, Eric, and I asked you, what did you do with the words growth? These 3 or 5 things need to be what you need to talk about, because they become the strategic pillars of your ability to reach.
Fantastic. That's a comment there from Suzanne Colm. She loved that answer. That was great. Hey, Jerry Tremblay. I haven't heard that name for such a long time. Another story, another life. Good to see you, my friend. Happy New Year to you. And Michelle, thank you for joining us. There's a person that's always been super supportive of us. And there's the chef. Look at the chef.
Oh, hello. Hey, gorgeous.
Good to see her. She had a really cool program going on throughout the holidays, by the way, about sunrises, I believe. Or was it sunsets? Could have been both. I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
It was sunrises.
Was it sunrises? I think it was sunrises.
Yeah. I cheated and sent sunsets a few times.
Yeah, there you go.
There was one that came in that actually had a word on it. I think it was reach, wasn't it? If you can't go back,
I'll go back and see if we can check it. This is from a person I know here, Deanna Tucker. She's here in Western Canada. Consistency. She's a content creator as well, by the way. She works for a specific company, and she does a lot of social media for them, creates content for them. Consistency is what she's thinking about.
Yeah, there are. Oh God, can I do this? Yes, I can. There are 8 pillars to elite performance: consistency, constancy, competence, and confidence, which enables your physiology, your psychology, your physiology, your productivity, and your ability to persuade. So, yes, I got those right. They're inside the Institute for those inside the Sede Institute.
Just off the top of your head.
So Deanne, the whole thing about consistency and constancy is the manner with what you show up and the way you show up creates a level of competency. Competency creates a level of confidence in people that will then actually make it easier for you to persuade them, because they're consistently and constantly with competence and confidence watching what you do. So one of the things about consistency is, what is the consistency of what's going to enable you to persuade people? Because persuasion is based on your ability to articulate the example of your repetition, which is consistency.
Oh, come on. Just off the top of your head. I love it. Just off the top of your head.
No,
Michelle,
that's
what I love it. I'm doing this the fun thing is I love doing this stuff because I know it helps people and stuff, but it helps me like you would not believe. So I'm sitting front and center here enjoying this.
Who was that lady? Sorry, who was that lady before? We'll come to Jairus in a sec. The lady,
Deanna Tucker.
Deanna. Hey, Deanna. So let me do that a little slower for you, Deanna. You need to create the ability to persuade people to your approach, your message, your style of communication, because everyone wants to know how to do social. Everyone wants to know how to do the posting set. Mm-hmm. Your consistency to create persuasion, in a positive use of that word, is to generate a 3 to 5 step model that is an example of what you want them to do. We had some people come on the show a ways back saying, I can't get people to understand why they should do social. And the very premise of the question was, you're trying to convince them to do something you haven't shown them they need to do. So the great view of consistency, learn how to persuade people by being in a consistent example of 3 to 5 elements that you do, and show them how to do it with knowledge, experience, and they'll call you an expert and wise. Thanks, Deanna.
Oh, my gosh. That is on. Hey, there's a name you've seen before. Jarvis.
Legend.
Jarvis Tucker, legend, right there. Structure.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
Go straight to what I just said to Deanna about consistency. It's like I said, and I was doing this with Michael, everything you need to do Jairus, is pour as much knowledge into your head as you possibly can. I'm looking at masterclass all the time. I'm reading books all the time. I've got audio books coming into my head like there's no tomorrow. I'm now into Harvard Business Review trying to work out what are some of the things that are happening. Pour knowledge, number one, it's a 3-step process, buddy, and everyone, pour knowledge into your mind. Number two, take your experience and your perspective and put it into structured formats of what you've just learnt, and then go with consistency, with people like Deanna's help, go and share that with selected audiences, and give yourself permission to have a boundary to get rid of all of the noise that's coming at you. Be selective on what you put in your head. Be selective about the experiences and your perspective that you apply to it. Put it into 3-5 steps that people can easily follow, and go be an authority. And overarching all of that simple model, get rid of what's not supporting you, because having to comment and like everything, if it's not going to make a difference on the 31st of January this year, top tip, stop doing it.
Stop doing it. Love that. You know, and I'm listening.
That's what I'm doing big time now.
I'm doing that this year, everybody. Listen, and I'll put it on record. I hope I know that you just said it right there as well, Stephen. You know, there's almost only so much time in your life, in your day, and you want to consume as much as you can and support as many people as you can. And at the same time, there's a limited amount of resource, which is called time, your most precious asset. So I'm doing the same thing. I have to say no to things sometimes. I sometimes don't have a chance to always catch up with what some people are doing, and vice versa. It works. It's opposite as well. I mean, I don't always expect people to be able to tune into what I'm doing or maybe what you're doing, Stephen. I mean, we're all just trying to do that. But like you said, I'm going to try to consume things that I think that will be helpful.
Yeah, just on that point to Jairus, from a practical point of view, sits in with Deanna as well. I know you do a lot of videoing stuff, Jairus, and for many others, Melody's doing articles and all that type of stuff. Peter and I doing all kinds of things, both together and respectively. Every single time, have you noticed, everyone? Every single time you speak to me, I give you something or some structure, and I'm doing it constantly on this show. So Jairus, every single time you express your knowledge and experience, give someone something to do, and don't make it, give me your name and I'll tell you how to get a pull. Just give them something that's going to be constructive for them, based on your knowledge, based on your perspective and experience. So at the end of all of your videos, or in your videos, give them something to do. Because Jairus, you've never watched a video of mine that doesn't have that in it.
That's so very, very true. Hey, that's so very, very true. Look, love this. So Michelle's having a great time. I can't believe this from Andrea. We're going to have to get her some help here. Her notes are out of control today. So I love it.
Andrea and I having an argument about who's going to adopt me. But anyway.
There you go. Now I'm going to put this one up because it's not part of my list here, but her word is voice. Andrea's word is voice. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm trying to be careful because there's some stuff that's happening with voices right now that are causing all kinds of confusion in the world. Yes. So we won't go near that. All your voice can do two things. I hate you. I love you. Choose what you use your voice with wisely. And again, if you want to know wise choices of use of words and voice, go watch Andrea's New Year's message. Oh, so in terms of voice, everyone, you can use your voice to say I love you. You can use your voice to say I hate you. One of them will build the world. The other one will destruct it.
Fantastic. Love this. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate it. The mind is a mirror. That's absolutely true. Melody needs rewarding with a notepad. And
sorry.
Mary was talking about something actionable. Yes. Absolutely. Yep. Couldn't agree more with that. Let me just jump down and see a couple more here so that was structure we had. How about this one? Here's a name. Kimberly.
Oh, my lordy, Kimberly.
Believe.
Oh.
No.
Just once.
All right.
Just once.
Yeah, but then I gotta change everything up. It's all fun. Go ahead.
Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
This is my favorite thing. Can you do the vertical?
Yeah.
Take the B and the E, B. Take the L, the I, the V, and the E, live. And the last E, every day. Kimberly, be live every day by believing what's in your mind, what's in your heart, what's in your soul, with knowledge, perspective, and the ability for people to say you're wise. They'll say you're wise if you apply your perspective to your experience through your soul, heart, and mind message by being live every day. How do you do it? Believe.
Oh, God. You had to get that, didn't you? I knew it.
It's my favorite one. I like that one.
This is stressful for him, everybody. This is stressful for...
No, it's not. I didn't know how I had to do that one that way. But in terms of the concept of believe, if believe is the think of your children, think of your home, think of your relationships, think of your work, think of the intentions of what you want in your life. If you don't be live every day with them, you can't be whole, you can't be gracious, you can't have devotion, you can't have permission unless you have a focus on what you believe to be true of yourself, in your mind, your heart, and your knowledge, and then take that and put it into your relationships at work, put it into your relationships at home, put it into your children who goodness knows are going to need it in the next 20 to 30 years as this world unfolds into this magical and amazing way that it's going to. I love that, Kimberly, and it's so nice to see you.
Fantastic. With a big wow from Andrea, and Kat is saying, yeah, this is for a replay to write stuff out. I totally relate to that. I totally relate. Hey, here's from the from the New York area. Am I missing? Did I remember that correctly?
Yes.
It's a New York area. Shannon. And I'm thinking that this is she's saying live, not the necessarily live. I'm thinking she's saying live. So I'm going to go with that. Her word is live.
Remember, Shannon was the lady with the long hair with the glasses who had
the really, I remember who she. Oh, listen, I know who she is.
She had the really cool.
She's a piano. She's a musician.
Yeah.
She's a nurse. She's a rock star in her community. I mean, all that stuff. She's just a rock star.
And in the context, and I understand. So we're saying this is live or live.
We're going to say live. I'm going to say live. I must say I didn't find out exactly, because when I saw it first, I was like, "Is that live?" I'm thinking it's live.
We can do both, because guess what? If you're going to live and you're not going to be live to what you are and what you do and what you believe in, and this is applicable for Shannon, too many people are trying to convince everyone of what they believe to be true. I did this. I allowed myself to believe and live that I wasn't good enough. So I made all of this content, and there's now people inside the Sede Academy every single day writing, "This is amazing." But for 8 years, I never showed anyone. Shannon, this is beautiful. You need to live by being live to what you believe in, what you hold to be true, and don't care what anyone else thinks. Because if 2021, because of 2020, and even the whole last decade in social media, in the right use of it, we have arrived at a point of view now where everything is off the table in the context of what we hold to be true. Because flying on a plane now has got a whole different meaning. Hugging someone's got a whole different meaning. Walking down a supermarket aisle has got a whole different meaning. Mandatory mask wearing in Sydney right now has got a completely different look to a supermarket. So Shannon, live by being live to what you hold to be true, and be an example of what you believe in, because everything is up for the redefinition of what the human race believes to be true. Because an invisible force has made us rethink everything.
Wow. Oh, just love that. We're just banging through some incredible words here. Gosh, this is fantastic. Hey, Mario, thank you for this. Yeah, knowledge is just knowledge. Apply it. Unless you apply it. Absolutely. Right.
Knowledge is just knowledge unless you wrap it into your experience and perspective.
Melody said believe was my word too. I believe when I step out of my comfort zone. So Melody is in the same boat when it comes to the word believe. And so we addressed that a little bit, but Stephen, listen, we just cruised through over an hour here. We just cruised through some words. You didn't know what I was going to throw out there. I just love the fact that I hope people got a ton out of that. There's so much to dig in there. And once we go back and chop some of this up, we'll have a good go at finding out. I have a funny feeling this might be something we could do again, only because we're at the beginning of the year and things will morph and shift and so on. And as we go down that path, more things are going to start defining our times, and maybe some more words will show up and so on. But hey, I super appreciate all that. One of the things that's interesting about, the past shows that we've done together is of course, we have a structure to it, and we bring on guests and we do whiteboard, as people just saw. I mean, he just grabs the whiteboard and you just rock and roll. So
Yeah.
that's always fun to kind of tune in for that. But you know what we don't do? Now you do it in the cafe. You have this. You have the Sede Cafe,
which is basically group coaching, but in a very structured
way. So
or
people,
a more structured way for those listening.
Yeah, so people kind of get to know you that way. But people that I bring on to this particular show, we're talking about these kinds of things. I always like digging into a little bit more about them because we don't get a chance to do that when we're just doing what we're doing right now. So I've come up with something, and I know you've probably seen some of my shows, but hopefully you haven't seen any of the answers to them. This or that with Stephen DeSade, everybody. Never done this or that. So if you're tuning in for the first time and Steven's sitting there going, I don't know if this is, you don't need a whiteboard for this, buddy. No, it's no pop quiz. It's all good. It's all good.
I'm ready.
All it is just fun. I'm going to name two things and you just tell me which one you would pick and stuff. And you don't have, you can go deep. You don't have to go deep if you don't want to. It's all good, but they're all easy stuff. So it's just to let people inside that space in there of Stephen DeSade. As what I normally tell people, for me, you don't want to come in here. You don't want to come in here at all. All right, let's have this one right here. And some of these I might know. Some of these I'm looking forward just to find out because I don't know, but I think I know this one. But hey, and by the way, any questions here? We're never promoting anything. We're just having fun. Okay, everybody, just to make sure. Let's start with this one. Whiskey or wine?
Wine.
I'm just curious, red or white with you? Is it red?
Red.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, awesome. Spider-Man or Batman?
Spider-Man.
Awesome. 60s music or 80s music?
Probably 60s, I suppose.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, 60s. Because when you think of some of the stuff in the 60s that's still around now, it speaks volumes for why it's around. Yeah, 60s.
All right. Well, based on that answer, how about Stones or Beatles?
Beatles. Just.
Don't blame. Listen, you can't go wrong either way there at all. Movies: Shawshank Redemption or Gladiator?
Shawshank.
Great movie, isn't it? I mean, come on, all day long.
Never give up.
Sunrise or sunset?
I see more sunsets than I do sunrise, and so I'd say sunrise, but I do more sunrises and sunsets. And that's mainly because on the West Coast where I grew up, you actually watched the sun go into the ocean. So that was a little bit more spectacular than it just appearing over the land, even though that's good as well. So. Awesome.
All right, we're going out for some takeout food. Chinese food or Italian food?
Italian.
Yeah, see, that's the red wine.
I love Chinese too, but yeah, no, Italian food. And having gone there a lot was amazing.
All right, I know you love music, and I know you love London because you lived there, right? You lived in London, so I know you love London. And two of these lads are from London, I think, originally, or in the general area, not from London, but in the general area. How about these two choices? A day on Necker Island with Richard Branson, or a day in London with Paul McCartney?
Branson, Necker.
Branson and Necker, yeah.
Because of what's next.
Right. Totally get it.
It's because McCartney would be entertaining and very informative. Branson would change your perspective on what you can do. And everyone, because both of them are examples of what they can do. I go to Branson because he's an example of what I'm trying to do with Peter's help.
Yeah, got it. Totally understand that. How about this? $50 million today or guaranteed health until you're 100?
Health. Because if you believe in yourself and you've got health, you can write whatever number of zeros on your bank account you want if that's important to
you. Got it. Love that. How about this? Hope or freedom?
I heard this on another show you did, and my reaction at that time was freedom. Because if I have freedom, I can hope. Most people hope for freedom. I create freedom and then generate hope within it. Because the truest form of freedom is not someone else's governance over you. Truest form of freedom is your ability to believe, to go to Kimberly's point, and your truest point of freedom is to be released from doubt. And my whole life was constrained by doubt, not anymore.
Hey, love that.
As Jim Carrey says, hope is a beggar. Hope is what you do when you step through the fire. Faith is what you do when you leap over it.
Boom. Love that. Finish this sentence for me. So let's say, like, as you saw, this is paramount. Right? Finish this sentence for me. I love my life because
you're in it.
That's fantastic. You talking to me or just everybody? You talking to me?
Anyone who's listening.
Anyone who's listening. Absolutely.
I love my life because I get other human beings interacting with mine, and I go hunting for them in the proper use of that word. I love my life because of you, Pete. I love my life because of everyone that's inside of Soul Shifters, and I love my life for every person I'll meet today that I may never, ever see again.
There you go. Wow.
Going to leave a footprint on the soul of humanity. It's just what I'm going to do.
Fantastic. Here's a couple one-liners about the cafe is amazing. Melody says, this is going to be fun. So I hope you enjoyed that, Andrew. You learned a little bit more about that. Hey, we got a Beatles vote right there from Michelle as well. So I totally relate to that. And she loved it as well. So that was a lot of fun. Hey, speaking about what you just mentioned something there. And for anyone who, knows, Stephen and I have been doing, we did 25 shows and, we're still working on some other ideas, all kinds of really interesting things. But I think it's just really important for everyone to know that, everyone is building towards, this is going to be an incredible new year for everybody. And with so many things going on, we're going to be interacting in all kinds of different ways. This is just one way that we're doing it. So by no means, there's no reference to this being a particular ongoing thing. I do a lot of interviews with different people, all kinds of different verticals, and there's a number of reasons for that. First of all, I love doing it is number one. It's going to bring value to some of the things that Stephen and I are working on, and some of the things that Stephen works on separately as well. So it's all comes around full circle. But with that being said, Stephen, here's something I do want to do. I do want to bring up your website because I know that you've been working on it, and I hope I'm not going out of. Is it okay to show people a couple things on your website? Yeah, I just want to make sure that, and I, obviously we do this, on any show, but I want to make sure that people see a little bit about what you're doing.
Just while you're getting that up, Pete, I'll just do a quick voiceover while you're getting that up. Everyone. The only thing that is new in the new year outside of a calendar date is you. That's why I say Happy New You. Because all of a sudden, when I was a little kid, there was always this euphoria that at 12 o'clock, everything was going to change and it was going to be magic and mystical. And then I'd wake up the next day and all I'd realize was all the Christmas presents are over, the New Year's is over, and we're closer to going back to school than and now going back to work. So one of the things I want all of you to embrace, the only thing that is new in the new year is you. It's you. It's the opportunity that is you. It's the word that's foundational in your life. Happy New You. Go and believe in anything you want to do, especially in 2021 because the game's changed. The only thing that's new is the responsibility that you have towards your gift. Because the resolution, I'm going to lose weight, is one thing. How many parents out there set the resolution that on the third Tuesday in March, I'm going to pick up my daughter of 15 years of age after ballet class? You don't make resolutions about what you're responsible for. You just embrace them. I want you to embrace the brilliance of you and be the new you in 2021 and go and be an example. We all need to be an example to each other of how much love and care we've got for ourselves and then for one another, and take that into your businesses, your professional life, your personal life, your romantic life, and go watch humanity tell COVID where to go.
Fantastic. Well said, my friend. Well said. Now, just to be clear to everybody, no sales pitch here, and I don't want to dig into this, Stephen. I just want to show people this. So
I didn't even know you were doing this.
That's what I'm saying to you. I want to always make sure everybody, the integrity of what we're doing always is paramount to me.
Yeah.
Stephen can attest to that, and anyone who's been on the show can attest to that. It's always about trying to bring value to people, and it's not about pitching things or talking about that. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Just for me, it's always about the integrity of that. So last minute, I just wanted to show people some of the things that you've done on your website, and specifically towards corporate training. So I'm putting it out there for everyone to kind of understand and to see. And Stephen has been working hard over the holidays and getting me up to speed on all kinds of different things. And I'm always sharing it with a few people, but these things are coming down the pipe. And Stephen, I know that we've been talking about stuff. So there we are right there about this. If you want to throw a couple one-liners out there about what this looks like or could look like in the future, please go ahead.
You want me to?
Yeah, I don't want to, again, but I want to be clear with everybody. I want people to go to the website and check this out, and then and make sure they connect with Stephen to talk about it.
Okay,
Because
well,
there's
I'll do it in
lots
two
of
ways so it doesn't sound like a pitch. Everyone, what are people saying about what you did in 2020, 2019, 2018? What are people saying about the human being that you are personally, professionally? In Peter and I's case, everyone was saying that it was quite unique, that what we did, the whiteboard, the way Peter and I do it, the energy that he and I have together. So we started understanding that there's what if we actually started applying specialist training around leadership and mental health and all the things that we can do? What about all of the different training and the courses and the platforms and the ability for me to do what I do, produced with Peter's help on a number of different platforms we're integrating right now, and then globally did that. So specialist training produced globally, using the nature of how the Sede live show was produced between Peter and I, but putting that into things like seminar events, workshops, away days. That's basically what we're intending to do. So the takeaway for all of you is the awareness of that for us. The takeaway for you is, what are people saying that you do that impacts them, and how are you going to build on that?
Fantastic. Appreciate that, buddy. And that's exactly it, everybody. We just wanted to give you a heads up, some of the things we're working on. But today's show was all about words of 2021. And Stephen, you're a good sport. Listen, I didn't have to talk you into it. Just say Stephen loves, listen, I love being on and helping and sharing ideas with people as well. But, I got to tell you, if someone phoned me up and said, hey, I'm going to throw a whole bunch of words at you live and I want you to respond to that. I'd be like, no, not going to do that.
You didn't know. Well, to be fair, you said, Steve, do you want to come on the show? Because I haven't been on the show. Yeah, great. And he said, we'll talk about words. Yeah, okay. So at the beginning of the show, I'm going, Pete, can you tell me what the rules are?
No, and I didn't tell him what the rules were. But one of the rules is always just for us to make sure we're trying to bring value to everybody. So so first of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us and so on. It's always about the audience. It's always about people that are tuning in. It's always about that for me. Number two, it's always about the guest. And Stephen, I know we always have fun, so I hope you enjoyed this sort of format. It was a little different, right? I know. Got to the board once. We got to the board once.
That's all Kimberly's fault. And if she's still watching, she'll be laughing.
That's right. That's right. So no, we appreciate that, and then of course, like I said, we always want to make sure that people get something from it. So please reach out to Stephen or myself. Please leave some comments in the show. If there's anything specific you want to learn more about what Stephen is working on in conjunction with Red TV and Stephen, the Sede Institute, and so on, from a corporate perspective, reach out to either one of us, and we'll certainly get you in the loop about that. Let's see if there's any last couple comments here. I want to make sure. Thanks everyone for sending in your comments. By the way, if we didn't get to everyone's word, we apologize for that. Again, it's just we're just trying to bring some value to the conversation here. Great show, love this concept. So that's great. We appreciate that. It was a lot of fun. I think we'll revisit this another time, Steve, because we could make a workshop. You could, not me. You could make a workshop out of any one of those words. So I love that. So everyone, thank you for watching. We're going to keep watching on LinkedIn and so on for announcements of things that are be coming down the pipes. I know that Stephen and I will be jumping on talking about something in the near future. In the meantime, Stephen, I don't know if you saw this little short film before, but it's something in my travels. The Starfish Story. You know that story about the starfish? The idea of throwing them back. And, so if anyone's out there, I don't want to repeat it right this second, but just Google the Starfish Story. And it's all about basically making a difference in the world. And the long story short of it is it's about helping starfish that were stranded on the beach, and you help one at a time. And that's the message. So when I was traveling, all my travels, I was in Turks and Caicos, beautiful part of the world, and we went to this island. There's no one on the island. It's literally just uninhabited, and it's so beautiful, brilliant blue and white, and of course I love the color red TV, and so we're walking along the beach. Believe it or not, we pulled the boat up, and there's this giant red starfish.
Oh wow!
Just on the beach, and he or she going in close enough to the water that I was like, God, he's going to dry out, or she's going to. And so I had to go over and pick it up. And this is just this giant thing. It was so hard and so full of weight, so heavy. And it had these, you'll see it in the video. And I just brought it back to the water. Now, this is the fun part, Stephen. I know you'll appreciate this, is that, I had a GoPro with me. And so I brought the starfish out into the water. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna put my GoPro in the water and just see if it moves around, because I've never seen a starfish actually move around, to be frank with you. Not like this one. It's just really, really big. And so I put my GoPro down on a stick, and on a monopod, and I put it down, and I basically pushed it right next to him, or it, and to see if it would move. And I left it down there for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I noticed when I was looking down, I was like, I think that thing has moved, because you can't tell the water's moving and so on. So anyway, when I checked the video footage, this one at the end of the video is the real footage. I didn't add any sound effects. There's no colorization here. It's real. I mean, and so when you see it, it's like, I wanted to put it in context. So when you see it, you go, wow, that was a great moment. And I remember that. And I wanted to share it here under the banner of the Philanthropy Channel, everybody, which is another project I've been working on over many, many years, which is all about amplifying good in the world. And that's what we're here to do. So, Stephen, thank you so much, my friend. This has been, it's always a pleasure. And we will add a whiskey and or red wine to one of these shows one day. Yeah. I don't know when. I don't know when or where. But we'll be talking real soon. So thanks everyone for watching. And Stephen, your tagline, I want to get used to your tagline as well. I love it.
But we'll add a little extra one for the beginning of the new year. Be you by being well and being brilliant. See you, everyone.
I love that. And hey, everyone else out there, just be kind. You know what? Be kind out there. It's all good. See you on the other side. Watch this from Turks and Caicos. See you, everybody. So how do I pick them up? Just underneath?
Yeah, just hold them.
You feel weird underneath?
No.
How far do we bring them out?
Just right on the green sky right there.
Look at the size of this guy. Is this unbelievable? We got a little guy here too. Pretty star. Wow, is it ever spiky? This thing is really, really spiky. Can you see that? Wow, it's actually cutting through my hand. That's how spiky he is. He's really, really spiky. And heavy, but beautiful. Look at the colors of this thing. Is he gorgeous? This is gorgeous. Wow. Now this is a cool experience. Oh, here he is. He's going home. That he's huge. Fantastic. It's always fun to do stuff like that. Makes you feel like a kid again.